controllers and classes are going to be a very big part of your iOS application. The biggest part will, of course, be the view controllers. And we're not going to go too in depth here into the view controllers because we have a whole module dedicated to that. But I wanted to give you a brief overview of this since we're going to be looking at that in a second in the actual project. And the view controller is essentially just a controller that's going to control a part of the UI of your application. So typically a view controller is mapped to a screen. Doesn't have to be. It's essentially mapped to a root of a view object. If you remember from the architecture lesson, we talked about how there's a UI root and then the UI elements cascade down from there. Well, with this view controller, you're going to basically be controlling whatever that root object is, and then you're going to be managing the interactions between those. And we'll cover classes when we look at the demo here, but your class files are just like we had talked about before, the .h and the .m files. And actually with Xcode 4, those class files can be anywhere in your application. It just automatically will get picked up by the project. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the views and controllers in our project that we created here for the protein tracker application. So if I go ahead and open this up, you'll see here that we have protein tracker folder, frameworks folder, and a products folder. And right now we'll look in this protein tracker folder. In the earlier version of Xcode, there were actually the structure of this file structure was a little bit different, and there was actually a classes folder and a resources folder. In this case now what we have is we have all of the files here underneath the main project folder with the same name as a project, and then this supporting files folder. So the way that this ends up working is that you can basically put your classes and your view controllers just right inside here. There's not really a notation of how it needs to be set up anymore, whereas there was before in the older version of Xcode. So it's kind of a good thing, I think, because you can set it up how you want to, but on the other side of the coin may be a little bit confusing because different iPhone projects are going to be set up differently. So let's take a look at what we got here, and we'll kind of discuss a little bit about how the view controllers work and what we would do when we create new view controllers and new files in here. So if you look at this for our utility application, well, we've got two view controllers. We've got this main view controller, and then we've got this flip side view controller. And so if I look at the main view controller.h file, you can see that it extends this UI view controller. It's a subclass of that. And then it implements this delegate, which is a protocol that, and this is how you specify it here with these angle brackets, and that is going to define some methods that it needs to have, which in this case will be this here, and you can see it's actually the flip side view controller did finish. And so if I go into here, we can see that we do have a flip side view controller did finish in our .m file, and it's implemented in there. And we're not going to go too in depth into the code here, and in the next module we'll look at this a little bit more. But you can see here that what it's doing is handling some of these standard events that occur, or these standard hooks in the life cycle. And this view controller actually has a nib file associated with it. If I bring this up, we'll talk about this more when we get into interface builder. But this view controller manages this screen essentially. And if we look at this other flip side view controller, it manages this screen. So let me show you real quick what it looks like if we were going to add some files here. So we'll just add a Objective-C class. We'll subclass NS object. Always want to do that when just adding a standard class, and we'll just call this test class. And then you can see the .h and the .m file get put here.